This is a cactus. This is a real cactus. All of us here to witness that, right?
Nope.
This is my front yard. And there's a face in it. I thought I was crazy, and then everybody else could see it too.
Cacti are evolving.
They are.
It's so creepy. Right. The scary cactus man.
It's kinda cool. Okay, it's documented. That happened. You saw it here on Quest for Details. It's my front yard. Welcome back to spring. It's 2020. The bulbs are all up. The irises that I put in are all got their greens on. The daffodils, the narcissus, everything. You can see I've terraced the front yard here with rocks that I brought back. And the growing season has started. The light is on in California. By putting these rock terraces in, it keeps all the water from just pouring down the rock and clay slopes onto the driveway and retains it. And I have them at a long slant. It's actually blocked by the truck there, but they run all the way down and capture all the water and give it flat spots to sit in and retain. Every little step you can put in a slope is like a dirt reservoir. Early spring. The trees are all pruned. I did a really heavy pruning this year, so there'll be less fruit, but the idea is that it'll be closer to the ground and less of them but bigger. And I skipped a year, and so I had to pay for it. The almond trees and the plums are some of the first out. And you can see that the reduction in size just made more blooms pop out down lower. So there you have it. That's the entirety of it. Instead of being a tall, huge thing, it's shorter, more in reach, which is what you're trying to achieve when you're pruning. And this is the big old peach, and it was way gangly, but for strength, so you don't have to prop it later on, bring it back down to a size that's as tall as I ever want it to be, so that when I'm standing on a ladder, it's not beyond me. So now all of the branches can just bulk up and bulk up and bulk up and support more fruit later on without having to put prop sticks in or breaking themselves. I had breaks on some of my oldest, most well-pruned peach trees this year, and so I needed to take them a step back. Their bases can support it because they're huge, as you can see, and so I just brought everything back. Each joint that you can see here is a long time old cut that made them fork and then fork again. But I took it back probably 4 prunings to where it is now, because I want everything to thicken up, and because I'm on a slope, these trees tend to shade the next one down, which is part of terracing, so you have to keep them low enough to get the sunshine in there, because I'm actually south facing, or I'm actually north facing. All the beds are just rosettes of green. These are hollyhocks. The calendula, of course, are some of the first out for the year. Almost everything that we have here you can use as a medicine or eat. So you can see the daylilies behind them. The iris are not edible. The daylilies are. The calendula are edible and can be used for skin and many other products. These are clary sage, which is just blooming out, but those get big tall cones on them, so everything freezes here during the winter and gets very short, almost to root layer. And you can see all the hollyhocks are starting over, and I have to keep them out of my bark areas. This has all been rebarked for the year, just with wood chips and stuff. And today we're going over the veggie garden, and instead of just having free dirt edges, I am going to go reuse some of the slash from all of the tree cutting and line clearing to do the borders of this. And we're going to turn this one big bed into either 2 or 3 separate ones. Put some fence on here to keep the dogs out. And yeah, just general cleanup. But all the little strawberries are super small and low right now. The grapevines are all bare still. Just getting the dirt ready. These are the figs, the mulberry. As you can see, Danielle and Olive are getting a little bit of fencing, particular bed. And then we'll line them all with recycled, reused logs, lumber from all the cut downs. So it'd be bed, maybe 3 beds. I don't know what I'm doing there exactly. I know there's a berry there I wanted that path to end on. But yeah, and then just making a little dent. That's where the log will lay, so that it doesn't roll into the path or roll into the bed. So there's just a flat of that, and then a little bit of angle down in, because we're going to use peeler sized logs like this. And just set them in there without stakes. So on with it.
There we are. So just watch people's eyes and put it down.
So we're getting the chives just coming up for the year. Those are kind of perennials, and we're getting chard that volunteered somewhere else, and we're planting that in. And the path is basically done, except for I'll lay the edge logs in here. It's up to our raspberries. And this is going to be a little way to access either side of this bed. And then a path here. And it's just getting to that point where I don't like crawling through stuff anymore, and I don't like reshoveling the low edges, and I like my dirt to all stay flat in the bed, so more and more I turn to retainment. And then we're just getting a little fence around it that keeps the dogs out. And the dogs keep the deer out. That's the idea. And that's why we call it the Dirt Journal, because everything starts with the dirt. Hear the frogs and the creek down below. She's got the gate. Well, I'll pull all the hay out of it. So these are stairs that I just rebuilt. These are old peelers, and I use logs on the side. They look a little rough because the wood chips are constantly chewed up by the dogs, but they're also a perfect solution for that because you just rake them flat again. You see here I use logs stacked on their edge because I didn't have rock. And if you watch other videos, you can see this whole garden and all of its rock work, but this is a good time of the year because there aren't a bunch of plants on it. So you can see that I brought in all of that rock and stitched it together with different succulents. And that creates a terrace, and then a walkway, and then the next terrace. And this is all reclaimed cement, and then the next terrace and pathway, and on down. That's a ledge I'm building right now. I just compost. So it's logs and then compost and logs, and it creates a ledge where I had only slope. And yeah, everything is just flat, and then down the next, and flat, and these are all bulbs and everything coming up. So my little succulents here that I use for ground cover, so there really are no weeds. These are calendulas again. These are more sage, and these are bachelor buttons that you see here. Little forbia, couple weeds, hollyhock, fig tree. This is actually a strawberry bed that kind of died back, but they're here. They'll come back. And this is a staircase I just did off camera. This was always a skinny little dirt path that ran down here. And I literally started up there and it's just all cold stacked. But pretty proud of that. It's one of my latest though at-home projects. Kind of hard to film it because of the light and everything, but I think you get the gist of it. I turned a crazy little thing into a row of big boulders and rocks. That's actually where it forks to run up that way into the sunshine. There's a better shot of it. So I started this yard 10 years ago. We bought this property during the recession and it was being foreclosed basically, and so it was never finished. It was just a dirt yard. These are all bulbs. Everything growing back for the year, and I tuck succulents into every little bit of it. And coming down you can see there's the flat spot, and that trailhead out here's from above. You can't tell, but then you get down to the face of everything and you see it's just stacked rocks running off in the distance to make each one of these layers. And what we're on here is stacked rocks, and you can see it's been a while. They're all mossed together since I first put them here, but I tucked a lot of chunks of moss in. But yeah, you can see the scope of the rock work. Looks two different ways. And so I brought the pathways down, and that's the most recent. That flat spot that leads off there. Before it was just kind of dirt and joined, and so it was ever washing out. Big strong ones in the front that don't ever move, and then big thick ones stamped down in the mud behind them. On this side all you see in the yard is dirt, 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 dirt everywhere, and from the other side all you see is rock, 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 and terrace. And the manzanilla, saw its blooms on there, and then these are all peaches running down. First time in 10 years, no chickens, and I'll be using all of this hay to fill in some of the beds and stuff, and then doing a big tear out on this because this was like raising rabbits and 4-H pets and everything else while taking care of 3 kids and trying to pay for all that. So it got kind of run down as an animal area. I was meant to make it fancy, so I think when I rebuild it I'm gonna take the boards and make a cute little thing. And then this is just another growing area. You can see I've used plastic barrels and stuff. Got some wire out here because we're scavenging this fence. And we're just going to reduce that down to a smaller area and take down everything that's old and wooden for now. And then this is a black mulberry. You can see my grafting point. That was my first graft I ever did, and I found out later that it's really hard to do mulberries. So I put a black mulberry on top of a white mulberry. So this is going to get huge, but it's all black mulberry from there on up. So I'm pretty proud of that. And then the beds just continue on. They're just calendula, and this is a pineapple guava. And it's in its 3rd year here, so eventually it'll be big enough to eat. You can see the comfrey is just poking through for the ear. There's still chicken feathers blowing through the yard. That was one of the downfalls of having chickens, was they were always getting out, tearing up the beds. You know, not that I mind that too much, but then they throw quite a bit of stuff around too. So, like I say, 10 years of that. And then all of the violets in the yard. It's one of my main, fillers. But you can use these. These are edible. The calendula are edible. And right behind them, more violets. Everything looks rough because we're still coming out of frost. Everything looks rough. But these are all oregano. And that patch of oregano except for a few violets and some ice plant. It goes all the way down and it gets huge and that blooms and it stays late. The bees love it. The violets run right up. This is one of our first cat's graves here. But yeah, the bullbees are all narcissists that are coming up, so they're almost there for the year. Did this little bit of rock work this year. Just bringing in big ones and trying to border everything where there was wood. And replace it with rock now that the wood has rotted away over a decade. If you listen to this tree, it is absolutely humming. Could be a good year for almonds, but there's also going to be some rains probably, so they are setting heavy bloom. I am in California. Look at how many bees there are there. Well, I think that's going to be it for this little part of the dirt journal. I just wanted to show you my home. I just set the fence on there, and so that the edges don't get beat down by the dogs and stuff. And I think I'll show you putting the logs in next time, and maybe doing some installs of the plants. I don't know if we're going to do drip line or just hose it from here. But yeah, that's my yard. Spring, February 2020. It's good to still be here, still standing. Thanks for joining me on the Dirt Journal. Stick with your roots. I'll see you next time. Hey, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button below. Helps the quest for details grow. I appreciate the support. And if you double click the bell icon next to it, you'll get a notification each time we put out a new video.